Vous êtes un peu trop loin, mais je crois, si je comprends, c'est que vous allez vous approcher après qu'il parte. Je n'ai pas vraiment compris ce qui se passe, mais c'est pas grave. Mesdames et messieurs, je vais inviter Giancarlo Esposito. Êtes-vous prêts? Donnez plein d'amour, s'il vous plaît. Welcome to the stage, Giancarlo Esposito!
Hello, Paris! Giancarlo Esposito!
Oh, Giancarlo Esposito!
Giancarlo Esposito!
Ah, mi dispiace.
What's up, baby? Where do you want me?
Wherever you like.
I like yellow.
Yellow's good.
Perfect. Yeah,
Giancarlo.
Mandalorians, bring me the child.
I believe that it's nice to see you guys there, but it's a bit weird for the audience. But that's okay.
Yeah, but you all look great. Wow. Wowie, zowie, you look great. Fantastic. A whole lot of you. Fantastic. Truly.
Giancarlo, you have an incredible catalogue of work. It's incredible. I recently watched, for example, Malcolm X. We're not going to be talking too much about that, but I recently watched it like 3 weeks ago, and there you were. I believe you killed him.
I sure did.
You shot Malcolm X.
I shot Malcolm X.
And so, it's amazing to watch actors with clearly such a passion for the craft, that they are in it for the long game, longevity. You've been going in this game for a long time. And
I love what I do. You know, my motto is if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Right.
And so you have to choose something that you really love. And then you play at it. You know, why I love to come to Comic-Cons is because people are in wonder, enchantment, and joy. And they're playing in this world that excites them. So my big question for the audience is, what makes you happy?
sa question pour vous, c'est qu'est-ce qui vous enchante? What makes you happy? Qu'est-ce qui vous donne du plaisir? Parce que pour lui, être comédien, être un acteur, ça lui donne tellement de plaisir que pour lui, il travaille pas en fait. Pour lui, c'est du plaisir. So, when did you know that you want to become an actor? What was the moment?
I did my first Broadway show at 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
And it was observing it was a musical. So I started in musicals. People don't know that. I sing and I dance. And it was observing Jack Cassidy, who's now passed away, and Shirley Jones on stage. And he was a great Irishman, an Irish singer. And he used to light up when he sang a song to the audience. And that was a moment for me that galvanized my feeling for live theater. Now you all know me from film and from television, but live theater is what I really do. And because it's like telling a story to an audience who can react and be on the journey with you. And so I was 8 years old and I knew this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Wow, that's awesome. Donc lui, il a commencé depuis qu'il avait 8 ans et il avait travaillé dans un théâtre, Broadway Theatre, donc à New York, et il avait travaillé avec Jack Cassidy, et c'est un grand acteur américain, et enfin non, irlandais. Et tu sais, il chantait, il dansait, mais quand il voyait Jack Cassidy sur scène, il le voyait. What's the word I'm looking for? Pas grandir, mais c'est quoi le mot que je cherche? Exploser, quoi. C'était de la lumière, il y a de la lumière qui sortait de lui, tu vois. Et le voir, c'est ça qui l'a enchanté de travailler comme ça. So yeah, welcome to Comic-Con, I really appreciate it. Most of us probably started knowing your work with Breaking Bad. That was probably one of the most iconic series of all time.
Yes.
But your portrayal of Gus Fring was fascinating, cold and terrible. And thanks to especially Better Call Saul, we also got way more context and backstory into his character, into his motivations. And well, I'd just love to hear a little bit about that.
Well, you know, Breaking Bad was an experience in itself, one that I really loved. And I was sad to see it go, but I wasn't about to come back for Better Call Saul. I had, left the character behind. I thought there's nothing I can do to make it any better. And so then I ask questions. And if you're not asking questions about what you do, about what your dreams are, then you're not living your life fully. Because you have to ask yourself questions like, am I happy? Do I love what I do? But if you ask yourself those questions, then you have to also wait to be provided with an answer. And what if the answer is change your life, change everything? Then you have to do it. And you have to have the courage to do it. So I asked questions of Vince Gilligan and the writers of Better Call Saul, what's going to be different? How is it going to be different for me? And they answered by saying it's years before Breaking Bad, and that we will allow you to figure it out to make the character different. So I said, okay, let me see what I can conjure up to think about how I can do something I had not done before. If you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you always got. It's always going to be the same. But if you think about how can I renew myself and do something I haven't done, then you get excited. So I thought to myself, I can create a different Gustavo by being not as secure, not as together, a little bit more nervous, a younger version of someone who will grow to be someone you already knew. And then there was a challenge, right? So if you're challenged in your life, then you want to meet the challenge, and it becomes exciting. It's not about winning or losing, it's about the journey. And so that becomes exciting to think about how you can renew your excitement for your lives, in your vocation, in what you do. So I feel like there's a couple of four-letter words, right? There's one called W-O-R-K, right? And there's one called P-L-A-Y. But both of those things, you make a choice. Are you going to W-O-R-K or are you going to P-L-A-Y? And if you P-L-A-Y, then you are L-O-V-E, right? It's so simple. It's a simple little formula that I thought of. And when I'm not L-O-V-E-ing it, then I'm not doing my job, because it should be exciting. And that's one of the reasons I come to Comic-Con, because to see all of you out there who have smiles on your faces, whether you're in cosplay or not, who are enjoying the energy of being in this world, means that you still have an imagination that propels you through your life. And that's a beautiful thing.
Can I just ask, do all of you speak English? Do all of you understand English?
Yes.
Do I need to translate everything?
No.
Thank you.
He's off the hook. He was so nervous. The French is good though, but you're off the hook. You're good.
I just wanted to get that.
And if you need translation, raise your hand and he'll do it.
Okay, yeah, that's good. How about that? That's beautiful. Thank you.
Choices, choices, choices. I think a lot of times in my life, I don't allow myself to make a choice. Because how do we talk about things? We talk about they. If they won't let me. Do they let you? People ask me at my table, do they let you do this, or do they let you do that? And I look at them quizzically, because I used to think that way. Do I let me? Like, you have a choice. You have a choice to be happy. You have a choice to fulfill your destiny. You have a choice about what you do. You have a choice about your attitude. That's probably the most important choice you have. Because the challenges of the world, sometimes they won't allow things to happen until you're ready for them to happen. And the only way you're ready for them to happen is by making the choice that they're coming to you. And when you make that choice, the floodgates open and everything comes to you.
Were you always this wise? Or did you discover this wisdom from playing all these characters, especially the more, if you like, bad guys? Like,
I feel blessed to have lived a full life, and my characters have allowed me to examine myself. So it wasn't until I started looking at my own disappointments and challenges and anger when I didn't get a part, and frustration when I didn't do it right, and blaming myself, and that is when I started to get wiser about things. And then I realized if I don't speak up and share it, who am I? So I've had failures. I've been bankrupt twice in my life. I've failed at a lot of things. But then I realized that that was contributing to the growth of who I am. It made me stronger. And believe me, I've come to the breaking point over and over and over again and went, what is so important? Why am I not having more fun? Because I'm too hard on myself. And some of us are too hard on ourselves. So you have to allow things to come to you, but when they do, are you going to be ready for them? That's a big question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm actually just so listening attentively that I am... Yes, it's... Sorry, yes.
No, it's okay.
Je suis en train de fragmenter là parce qu'il dit tellement de choses qui sont sages. Tu sais, c'est vraiment incroyable. I was just saying that basically the reason I'm sort of thrown back a little bit is because you are coming out with such beauty and wisdom, not only a love of your craft, but a love of life and a love of people, that I am grateful to be hearing you share your life.
Oh, thank you. It's all connected for me. I mean, I'm willing to answer any questions about what I do and what my characters have taught me. And I used to, I like to come to cons and answer everyone's question about what the character journey I've been on. So I don't mind that at all. But I also feel like I'm kind of over me. Like I could feed my ego and talk about how great all my ideas are for Moff Gideon and how great that the ideas I came up for Gustavo Fring are, and credit myself with all that. But that doesn't, that is a story, and I'm a storyteller. And I have a lot of stories, but we only have so much time, and I feel like I'm here to honor my audience in allowing them to know who I really am. Right? So I can drop in Gustavo Fring in a minute. I can drop into Moff Gideon. I can drop into Stan Edgar. Did anyone watch The Boys here? You are not a god. You are simply bad product. I have some great lines. I mean, some of the lines I've been given are really pretty phenomenal.
That is a beautiful line.
Yeah, it's a beautiful line.
Especially against Homelander. I mean, the guy that you think will never break, and you found his vulnerability. Oh, that was a nice
Well, I'm in season 5, just so you know, the final season, and I was just up there 3 days ago shooting a scene for 505 and 508. And so you'll be very excited when you see this scene. Look, I get excited when I read good writing.
I can see it on your face, by the way.
I'm not just excited about being in the show for the final season. I read this scene, and I was like, yes! Because Stan Edgar has the ability to really dress Homelander down and put him right in his place and get him so angry and do it with grace. He doesn't scream at him, tells him how it is. And so he's a part of him is always how I'd like to be in my life. Very composed, very relaxed. I'm not very much like that. I get pushed around by life a little bit. And Stan Edgar doesn't, because he has nothing to prove, and he's afraid of nothing. But he also doesn't need to get excited. So on the set the other day, I could really practice something that I'd like to be like. And that was good, because I knew all my lines. Like, you have to know your material. And once I know it, I can play with it, and I can really discover the nuance of it. It's fun.
Il y avait un moment où j'ai vu son sourire. So I could see in your face just the excitement of doing The Boys this next season coming up. So, I mean, The Boys is incredible. So many shows that you've done are incredible, and yes, a lot of the characters, well, I say a lot of the characters, some of the characters I'm familiar with that you've played have this composure and this power to be still, because in nature predators don't often move, they don't have to move fast, and you embody that with such strength and power, and like you know how to scare people. And I suppose one of the questions that I've been exploring recently is the philosophical, it's kind of philosophical, but the necessity for evil in the world. Right, so as in, without bad guys, we couldn't have good guys. Without the snake, Adam and Eve would never grow. You know, so I'm so confused and perplexed how I engage with life in general, because I see on the news some, let's say, authoritarian style leadership, but the storyteller in me goes, but are they needed for the good to come out?
Wow, that's really brilliant. Really, really brilliant, Eric, because I think you're exactly right. For me, some of my characters put up a mirror of who a part of me might be somewhere inside me, or a part of me has been, or a reflection of what I'm seeing in the world. And you're absolutely right. If we don't see how we don't want to be, how will we know how we do want to be? We won't really know.
Right.
And so it allows us to really think. So we get told our information. At least every day I get told information by this. Do I believe it? Hell no! You can't. You can't believe it, because this is like spoon feeding you what the network wants you to know. So in order for you to know what's really going on in the world, you have to look at news from around the world. And then you got to turn off your TV, turn off your phone, and think for yourself. So then you start to realize it's all about money. Like all that's going on right now is a whole big trade on morality for money. The trade wars, we're going to shut all of you out. We're going to charge you this until you come to your knees and serve this master. Right? It's not about you and I. It's about gross national product. It's about getting the money out of your pocket into their coffers, into their bank. So I agree with you. I think for me, when I play characters who are strong and controlling and maybe mean or murderous, nefarious, I'm seeing the human nature of all of us. Like, you make a choice whether you're going to be good or bad. Like, I could go out in the world and be deluded in my brain and act like Gustavo Fring every day. I always wanted to rob a bank.
Yeah.
I always wanted to rob a bank. And I know I could do it. And I know I could get away with it. But, right, what keeps me from doing that?
You haven't found a getaway driver yet.
What?
You haven't found a getaway driver.
We're going together.
I can drive on the right side and the left.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
I could ride a motorcycle and drive away on one wheel.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. It seems that we have entered a brave new world.
I think we have.
We have entered a brave new world.
Oh, I love this movie.
I'm sure you've heard of this quote before, the Mark Twain one. If you watch the news, you're misinformed, but if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed.
Terrific. Another terrific.
It's not one of mine.
I love Mark Twain.
But that has always kind of blown my mind, because I lived for a period of time without accessing the news, and I felt abandoned in society. Slightly healthier, but sort of like, what's going on out there? And so I have to find that balance of interacting with the world out there, with the bad guys, and yet...
Absolutely. And all the news is foul. You got to look at the right... Like, if you read The Guardian, look at The Guardian. Look at places that have no stake in your pocketbook. Look at look at the opinion page in different newspapers, right? Look at stuff where people aren't biased. Look at who supports the newspaper, right? Look at who's giving the newspaper money. They're trying to sway what's being told to all of you. So there's certain places, The Onion in Chicago, The Guardian, certain news you can watch, and look, The truth is the truth and it doesn't lie. You can feel the truth, right? When you hear it. Like you can look at people and you can feel what's true. And you know what's not true. So why do we walk away when we hear the truth and we really feel the truth? Or we hear a lie, why do we just go, oh yeah, okay, that's right. It's not right. You know it in the moment, you can feel it, it doesn't feel right. But yet, why don't you say, you're not telling me the truth? I can tell you're not telling me the truth. It's till we stand up for that in our own hearts and souls, and we call each other on it, that we won't get it right. You know what I mean? That's what it takes to get it right. But, so, look, I like this Brave New World movie. And why do I like it? Because I played a lot of villains who are manipulators. We're in a world where you're being manipulated. Don't you get it? Like they're manipulating you to think a certain way, to vote a certain way, to do it a certain way, right? And we're all like blind all of a sudden. So I like this Brave New World movie because this dude is straightforward. He takes out a gun, he loads it, he's gonna shoot you. That's pretty simple, right?
Keeping it simple.
Pretty simple.
Sometimes for the chaos, you need a little bit of simplicity.
He's working for money. You know, he just wants to kill a guy. It's a pretty simple, look, our world is reflected through mythology. And the mythology of what we read allows us to know that we're in a time right now where we're really challenged to be able to make up our own minds. If I allow all of you to be individuals, then I'm not running the show. If I train you to be robots, then I can run the show. Because then you're going to work for me. Don't let that happen.
Who's got questions? Yes, what do you got?
Hello, sir. I would like to know this. If you could travel in time, meet your 15-year-old self, and tell yourself one and only thing, what would it be?
Good question. That's a good question.
A really great question. First of all, I gotta envision that 15-year-old self of mine. I can tell myself one thing, one long sentence. Be true to yourself, love yourself, and make good on your dreams now. Don't wait to be great. Don't wait. What are you waiting for? Like, we're in the present moment. And to me, I waited a long time to find myself. I always waited, I was hoping for good tomorrow, not today. I didn't know how to ask myself the questions that would allow me to grow and be courageous enough to know that I had something inside me to share. So don't wait to be great.
But I suppose I would counter that patience isn't inaction. What do you think about that? Because I agree with you, but I think I lived so much in rushing towards my dream that I then went in the wrong direction.
I love that. Patience is not inaction. Like something will change, it'll get better, it'll be better tomorrow. All of those things are putting off what you can claim for yourself today. And so I'd absolutely agree with you. I'm a very impatient person. But that's just my nature. So when I realized that, I went, okay, you have to be patient with yourself and others, but you also have to set goals. And when I started to set goals for my life, then I realized things got better. I wasn't racing to try to get to them. I started to do what I think is necessary, and that is to cultivate. You gotta water the garden, right? For the flowers to grow. And they're not gonna grow overnight. It will take some time for them, the seeds to germinate, them to take root. All those things take a few days, a few weeks. But the mindfulness with which you cultivate that garden will reflect the love that the plant feels when it grows up. And it'll grow strong.
Reap what you sow. Reap what you sow. Il y a des autres questions?
So, hi. Here you talk about about music and theater earlier at the start. I just want to break up all the questions about movies and series. I want to find out what song speaks to you the most.
I did this musical called The Me Nobody Knows many years ago. And it was a song called Dream Babies. Dream babies, children of night, what do you dream? Is anything wrong? Is anything right? What do you dream, babies, tonight? It's a beautiful song. Where do you go in your dreams? I mean, the lyrics are like a poem. I believe in dreams. I believe we have the ability to dream a big dream for ourselves and for the world. It's the courage that we need to make it all happen. Thank you.
Before we move on to another question, let's talk a little bit about Star Wars. How well versed with the universe were you before you engaged in work with it?
I was well versed enough for me to play the part.
Yeah.
I love the early Star Wars films because they encompassed mythology that I could relate to. When they became larger tentpole movies, they lost me a little bit. And when Jon Favreau took over again, he brought the mythological elements of good and evil back to the franchise. And I was moved by that. I was moved by, look, sometimes to get where we're going, you have to do what you don't want to do, right? So to have a discipline in your life that allows you to cultivate what you want to do, that's discipline. You've got to do something to get something. So this Mandalorian guy, he didn't want to be, saddled with this Grogu, this baby Yoda. Like he sort of doesn't want to do that job. But that's the job he's been given, right? You know what I mean? He's like, and so I relate that to our human nature. Like to do something that we're not accustomed to. Look, life is kind of awkward and we can be very uncomfortable. But it's that awkward and uncomfortable feeling, being on the edge of not knowing, that makes it exciting, right? I mean, you don't know what's gonna happen. We're human beings and we wanna feel safe, supported. But the world is constantly moving, right? Like we're moving right now, right? And that doesn't feel, if we were moving faster, or if you're really sensitive, you feel how the earth is moving. You can feel it. And that's a little uncomfortable, like being on a roller coaster. But that's life. Life is not comfortable. So when you get in the place where you can understand that everything is impermanent, that nothing lasts forever, and you get used to that journey and how you can be in balance with it, then you're more comfortable. But nothing stays the same, ever, even though you think it does. So that becomes an uncomfortable part of how we exist in this ever-changing world, because you can't control anything. Nothing. The only thing you control is your own attitude. That's it. Your own reaction or action. So everything is going to be sometimes against how you thought it should be. Right? So if you can get comfortable in that place, your life will be easier and better. I grew up a complete reactor, like a volcano. When things didn't go my way, when I didn't see it the way it should be, when it didn't happen the way my brain thought it was going to happen. And I realized that's not serving me. It's not really allowing me to grow, because nothing's ever going to go the way I want it to go. Right? It's just not going to happen. Unless I'm Gustavo Fring or Moff Gideon.
I mean, because Gustavo did have a lot of power.
You have something I want. I mean, so, you know, for me, I'm learning a lot of lessons by living. And it's making me, having me be more compassionate, more loving, more understanding, and less judgmental.
Nice. J'arrive, t'es fort toi. Question. Venez, yes.
Je te promets que je vais arriver.
So thank you, Sir Esposito, for being here today. Thank you, Harry, for organizing this event. I wanted to question, sorry, you might have been asked this several times, but would you have an advice for someone who wants to begin in voice acting, who has no experience in a theater or a podcast or anything to start related like this?
Did you ask me a question about Maxine?
Would you have an advice for people who want to start in voice acting, but who has no experience, no theater, no podcast?
So he's asking, what kind of advice do you have for someone that wants to get into voice acting? For example, you did the Harley Quinn series, right? So and that's just one example of many where you've done voice acting, and therefore he'd like to know what kind of advice do you have?
Yeah, I love voice acting because it allows my imagination to soar. Most of what I do is on film, and I have to use my body and my face and my voice. Being on the mic for voice acting, I've got to use my imagination. And so my advice would be, you can find some sample voice acting dialogue that you can practice on Google, and you should practice different voices. Voice acting is play. It's the best kind of play. I go in the studio almost every month for something, and I have The Cat in the Hat coming out in about 6 or 7 months, which will be so much fun because I love Dr. Seuss, and I'm playing Hoogaboom, the executive at the company in Cat in the Hat. But my suggestion would be to practice, find a voice for some copy, and practice it and record yourself. Because just like, I don't, like when I see myself on the screen, I go, ooh, you know? It's the same thing when you hear yourself. So when you record yourself on your phone, listen to it, and then refine it and make it better. And then find a voiceover agent. You know, you send a tape to them and someone will pick you up. To me, it's the best kind of work because my imagination grows. Because I have to make all these sounds for movement and for action and all the sounds in between the words. And it's fun.
Tu peux me voir après, je traduirai tout. Okay? Yes.
Hello, my name is Leo. First off, I wanted to say welcome back in France. I remember I saw you last year at the Cannes Film Festival for Megalopolis. And I have 2 questions. So, A, how does it feel for you to play in movies like Do the Right Thing from Spike Lee and Okja from Bong Joon-ho? And B, if James Gunn offered you the opportunity to play a character in the DCU like the Martian Manhunter, do you think you will be interested? Because I think you will be a good choice. Plus, he's a good guy, so it will be kind of refreshing to see you playing a good guy for once.
You want me to play a good guy?
Yeah, if you want.
I could do that. But your initial question was about Do the Right Thing, was that right?
The initial question was, the Spike Lee film.
Yeah, I love Do the Right Thing. But I think you were asking me how do I go from that character to playing a different kind of character. Was that?
So how do you feel for you to play in other movies like from director like Spike Lee and Bong Joon-ho? How do it feel for you to play in this kind of cinema? I think it's amazing that you have such a diverse filmography. You work with many talented authors, and I think it's amazing.
Basically, how does it feel to work with such a collaboration of different amazing directors, such as Spike Lee?
I love working with directors because you can't act alone. You have to have a good acting partner, and you have to have someone who's outside of what you're doing as eyes to see and say, maybe try this, maybe try this. We don't live our lives alone. Like, you know, there's nothing that you do in life is on your own, whether you know it or not. We're helping each other grow by being honest. That's why when we live in a world that becomes less honest and the truth is not being shared, it changes who we are. So to have a director go, you know, I don't like that so much, let's try this, is a good suggestion. So Spike is he's a dear friend. I think he's a great director. He's very much like a coach on a team, because all the actors form a team. There are other directors who direct differently, and sometimes I don't like how they direct. But again, why are you here? Why am I here as an actor? I'm here to honor the writer's words. I'm a channel for emotion. I'm a channel to create a character. I'm not the director when I'm acting. So I need someone to actually guide me, just like you need guides in your life.
Beautiful. Il y avait une question là quelque part? Ah, yes.
First of all, hi. So you've been wearing a lot of costumes and you've been going through a lot of hair changes, maybe a little mustache here and there. So I wanted to ask, through all the characters you played, what was your favorite costume? When you looked yourself in the mirror, you were like, damn, I look really good right now.
I'm going to show you something too. I'm going to show you something.
Okay.
Because you're special. That's yesterday. Right? When you mentioned,
That's awesome. I love the beard. That's so good.
So what I do is I change myself, and sometimes I go for a part, and I'm doing a movie now in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I'm playing an imam in the Muslim religion. And I knew I was going there, and before I closed the contract, I called the beard maker, because I realized, wait a minute, most imams I know have full beards. And I found a photo of myself during COVID, which I had grown a beard. And I said, I need something to base this on. And so my favorite, most recent character has been Moff Gideon, man. I mean, you know, I grew that mustache. So when I was in my 20s, I always had a mustache like that, because I thought it looked really cool. And my father is Italian from Naples, and he had this little hatchet razor, and he had this little thin mustache. And so when I grew into my 20s, I wanted to look like him. So I started to do my mustache, and I haven't carried a mustache in years until Moff Gideon. And I went, I want to have a mustache, and I want to have a cape. But in the Spike Lee years, Spike would always be hounding me. Giancarlo, what you gonna do with your hair? I did 5 movies with him. What you gonna do with your hair? What you gonna do with your hair? I said, I don't know, it'll come to me. Again, inspiration is really important when you ask for inspiration. And so the Do Your Right Thing haircut was a complete inspiration that came to me 3 days before we started shooting. I asked the question and it finally came, and it was different on both sides. So that's what I do as an actor. That's the fun of it, is to look and create a look that equals the character that's completely different than anything I've ever done before. Great question.
And when those moments of inspiration come, is it from, let's say, within, and it's you finding the answer, or is it, let's say, the character that uses you as a conduit?
Another great question. You didn't look this smart backstage. Great freaking question. All afternoon.
Yeah.
It's the character.
Yeah.
Because I asked for an inspiration that's beyond me. So, all right, so if I thought it up, it's my ego. If it comes to my heart, it's my soul. And so it's like with I do plays and and when I get any kind of material, I read it. And you know what? I don't put my voice to it. I whisper. I read it in my head. And then I start with a whisper to be able to find, that's what I did with Gustavo Fring. Gustavo was a whisper that I put no voice to until 2 weeks before shooting. Because I wanted to be inspired by what was written. And I wanted Gus to find himself inside me. Conduit.
Plus de questions, mademoiselle? Yes, yes, des questions.
Ciao, Giancarlo.
Ciao.
State.
Here, take this one.
Hello, hello.
What's going on? Yes, this one. T'es trop proche du truc, je crois. C'était quoi la...
Nothing you didn't see. She's asking about Captain America Brave New World. And all that you saw of me is all that I shot. In fact, they added a scene, the scene in the tunnel with me and Anthony, the 5-page scene, was an addition. So what they do with movies, they make a movie and then they show it to all of you, maybe this many people, and they give out flyers and they rate it. And then they go back and they go, okay, they want to see more of Eric. They want to see more of Eric. They want to see less of Giancarlo. What are we going to do? Or they say, we want him in the movie more. And so they do that, and then they adjust it. And this Captain America was such an arduous process for the studio because they had already gone back and changed it, and they called me. And they went, will you join us? And I did. And then they tested it, and basically they called me again. And they said, the audience wants more of you. How do we do that? And I went, you guys are the masterminds, because believe it or not, I never read the script. They never gave me a script, ever. So I said, I can't really help you, and that's a good thing. You have to decide what you want to write. So they wrote another scene, and I went back after shooting my initial stuff. I came into the whole project late. I went in, I did 8 days of training with rifles and physical training. I did 4 days of shooting and I was done. And then they called me back for 2 more days of shooting. So everything you saw was everything I shot. Would I have liked to have been there more? Yeah. But they needed, I think the problem with the movie, I think the movie's great, number one. But I think they needed only one bad guy. And that bad guy was me.
I can imagine why it was an arduous project, because and he actually touches on it in the story, which is to take on the mantle of Captain America must be so challenging, not only as the character, but as the actor. And so I can imagine why it was fraught with so many different questions on how to navigate forward.
I think they made one movie and it didn't work. Because I came in, they cut a whole other character out.
Wow.
And I took that character's place. Okay. But they still had remnants. I mean, I think Tim Blake Nelson is wonderful. They had too many characters to serve. And although I think the movie worked, I think simpler is always better. But I love what they did. I wanted to be able to help them more. You know what I mean? Because obviously, when you saw me and Anthony on screen, there was a chemistry there. Like, and they saw it too. Like, I love Anthony Mackie. And we just clicked together, even though we were on opposite sides. So that's why all the old movies in Hollywood, when they had 2 actors or a male actor and a female actor, and you could feel the chemistry, that's what they mean by that. Like, they want to keep going because you feel it as an audience. So hopefully they'll ask me back and I'll do more.
Bonjour.
savoir s'il y avait une possibilité par rapport à la suite de ce traitement de Brave New World. Si vous pouviez proposer à Kevin Feige une suite pour l'évasion du raft, et puisque à peu près comme Werewolf by Night, les épisodes spéciaux, donc il y a toujours possibilité de faire un truc spécial pour ça.
I suppose if something is happening after Brave New World, you won't be able to tell us. But using your will, if you could see something for your character, for example, to escape the raft, like, in which direction would you like it to go?
Oh my goodness. So I got this role, I went to Mexico, I was at a Comic-Con in Mexico. I went to see a Diego Rivera exhibit, and Mexicans revere snakes. I knew I was going to play someone in the Serpent Society. They gave me a choice of what character it could be, and there was a whole idea that the character's name would be King Cobra. But then they realized they had another show with a similar name. So they said, we're going to take that name away, but you can make this any character you want. But we think it should be Sidewinder. So then I went down the rabbit hole with Sidewinder. I mean, I was in Mexico. So I'm checking out snakes, the Serpent Society, it all fit. Someone gave me a snake ring, a fan at a Comic-Con gave me a snake ring. I went, wow, this is all meant to be. Now, if you know Sidewinder, his name is Seth Volker. Seth Volker had a cape. He had powers that he could transport people within the cape. And he moved from side to side. He had red was in his color, yellow, purple, a big headdress and gear. So my imagination went wild. And they wanted me as an actor to ground the character. So I took the coat I had and I said, I want to put a little bit of color in the lining. They didn't write me as having powers. So where would I go? I would hope that Sidewinder would come back. He'd be an expert mercenary who not only had the ability to use weapons, but he'd also have a little bit of a power that you haven't seen, which would be great to me, that he could have a transportation method that would be really wonderful. And there are a number of other things I'm thinking, but I wanted to go, so Seth Volker in the comic is exactly my height, and that's why I went for the blue eyes, because I wanted to honor the original comic. There's power when you honor the source, right? It's just like life. Whatever you believe spiritually, religiously, when you honor the source, honor thy mother and father, they are your source. There's power in that. And so I drew from that to create this character, and I would love to come back, and I think the opportunity to come back and maybe have a more prominent role in the next movie, if they choose to have that happen, is great, but I'm already putting it out there and inviting it, because that's how life works. You invite it. I'll tell you a quick story. Of course, how all of it happened was that the fans, all of you, wanted me to play Professor X.
Oh, that would have been so good! That would have been so good.
That's how, but that connected me, the fans, and Marvel together. And I ran into someone from Marvel who knew the fans were blowing me up to possibly play Professor X, and they simply told me, we're not ready to do that. We won't be ready to do that for 5 or 6 years, and we already have done X. I said, okay, well, there may be something else, but just know what the fans want. And Marvel, Kevin Feige, wants to honor what the fans like. And so when they called me for this, I went, this is a great idea. So your invitation to the studios to do what you have imagined can come true, because social media, they're social media driven. And they want to honor, Marvel especially, they love their fans. So the more you say, Sidewinder, we want him to have his own movie, the more I invite it to come to me, the more guaranteed it is that it is going to happen.
I mean, you are the universe manifest, and we are living in it, so surely the universe will take care of us, right? Basically, that's...
I think so.
Yeah. On a le temps pour une autre question, one more. We've got one more question, so who would you like to choose?
Oh my goodness. This gentleman right there.
This one.
Hello, thanks.
You're welcome.
First of all, I can't tell my question in English, but I ask you in French. La question en fait... non, mais c'est... Il y a beaucoup de mots compliqués que je ne connais pas en anglais en fait. Et je voudrais savoir comment vous faites quand vous êtes dans vos tournages, qu'il y a des scènes où on fait plusieurs fois, comment vous faites pour rester concentré sur la même émotion, que ce soit la frustration, la haine, la peur, sans vous disperser et vous dire ah bah ça fait 3 heures on est dessus et je commence à l'oublier, je commence à être dispersé, et rester cohérent avec toute l'équipe en fait, que ce soit avec les réalisateurs et les sous-acteurs. Voilà comment vous faites pour rester concentré en fait pendant plusieurs heures sur la même émotion et sur ouais, voilà, sur les mêmes émotions en fait, sans vous disperser. Merci.
Yeah, that's a good question. Basically, how do you retain the strength and the composure to do scene after scene after scene? Let's say if you do one scene, just one, but like multiple times, how do you keep the same energy? How do you respect not only the character, but the team you're working with without losing your cool?
That's a really great question. And so if you notice, even though I don't speak fluent French, I listen to the question. That takes focus. There's a lot of noise in here. There's a vibration and a reverberation from the mic. There's whoever the hell is over there I want to go strangle, right? So it takes one pointed focus and intention. So when I'm working, I'll do the scene and my brain is in the scene, but I know when I've missed a line, when I've reversed something. I know when I haven't heard my scene partner, when I'm just looking at them, but I haven't heard what they're saying. So acting is also reacting. It's listening, to be present. This is a real analogy for our lives. To be present means I'm not here, even though this is in my hand, and it shouldn't be. To be present is to be right here, not checking everybody out, not with my attention on who's looking at me move my mouth right now. It's looking directly into your eyes to see if I'm answering your question. I could ask you, am I answering your question? But I can also see if I am or I'm not. Because I can see if I'm going off on a tangent or if I'm in my ego space. So it's being intention in life is everything. So how do I keep my energy? As soon as I finish the scene, I'm running the lines in my head. I'm seeing myself make the motions. I walk into a room as an actor and I look at everything first. I don't just start the scene. I look to see where the chair is, who I'm working with, what's happening, what the movement is, so I know how to shut all of that out and be right here. Because this is where it's happening, right? And so it's concentration. And it's something that I think it's a lost art. When the scene breaks, I don't run to my phone. I don't start talking about what did you have for lunch. I'm a very different actor. I go stand quietly and feel the energy of the room. And then someone comes to talk to me, and this may be really horrible. I ignore them. I'm waiting to do the scene again. So you have to stay in it. It's like life. You gotta stay in it. That's simple. If you're not willing to stay in it, you're not willing to reap the rewards of the juice of staying in it. It's like I meditate every day, right? I gotta stay in it. My mind is racing. I gotta stay in it. I gotta pull myself back from my thoughts so I can calm and shut off the computer in my mind. How do you pray? Oh God, give thanks for right? To pray, you gotta stay in it. You gotta be in gratitude. You gotta say, I'm thankful. My day today is great. You gotta do it over and over and over and over again until you know that the universe feels that you are in gratitude. That you really care that you've been brought to this point. That it really means something to you. That gratitude is felt. It's a ripple. It's a wave. It's like raindrops. It's a storm. It's a hurricane. It's a tsunami. It takes over your life. And then the universe knows. They're going to give you, the universe will give you everything. You just have to stay in it.
Je suis tellement reconnaissant que je ne dois pas traduire. Your energy is fire. It was incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, Giancarlo Esposito!
We love you, Paris! We love you! Thank you!
Oh, we got a photo?
Yeah!
On va faire une petite photo? Oui! Si vous voulez me voir, j'ai 1 heure.
We're gonna do what, yeah, you know it. Hold on. All right, come on!
Yeah! 1, 2, 3!
Really love you. Thank you for coming out for me. Love. I'll be here all day if you want to come say hi. I'm right over there.
Il va être aux tables. Moi, je suis de retour dans environ 1 heure avec